8th, 2016. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Saltzman, Figueroa Villa, and Kim are present, and we have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, public comment period. We have 3 comment cards.
Great, thank you.
We'll begin with Prentice Jenkins, the Red Chief Hunt, and Catherine Boyd.
Morning, Partial Commission. Prentice Jenkins, City Life newsletter publisher, activist since 1991. Can anyone explain to us why Mr. President Johnson's not here and Vice President Soboroff's not here? Can you explain that, Mr. Chief Eng?
Absolutely. They're both on vacation out of the state.
Oh, okay. Last week, I understand there was a meeting here, a regular agenda meeting item. I missed it. I didn't miss it because I didn't want to come. I missed it because you folks posted this. And this says a meeting at Hollenbeck. This was posted on the agenda, on the clipboard. And then I went behind it, picked one up, and that's what was posted. The regular agenda item was not posted. I call this the swoosh swam right here. He knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, you got me real good because you got us to believe that the meeting was changed and that it was at Hollenbeck. So guess what? And I picked this up on Monday, and I called the executive director's office, and I called the secretary's office. You folks wouldn't pick up the phone. I let it ring 7 times. No one picked the phone up. That's not very professional. You could have cleared that up for me. But my colleague, Mr. Tut Hayes, says you guys have a caller ID, and my name's on it. So if I call, don't pick it up. I believe you now that you guys have a caller ID. I called you at 10:30. They didn't pick the phone up. I let it ring 7 times, 8 times, didn't pick the phone up. I called at 2:30. You didn't pick the phone up, and I picked this up on Monday. That's that boxer's trick. Watch this glove. I'll punch you with that one. Okay, you punched me and knocked me out last week because I couldn't attend the meeting.
Thank you.
The Red Chief Hunt.
Good morning, the Red Chief Hunt on the record. Today marks a very important day. 2 years ago, I received $215,000 for being discriminated against. And it's about that time again for me to refile again. A couple weeks ago, I was out at the beach and I tried to file a report. And it was 2 different officers told me I couldn't file a report because of my skin color. I take that very seriously. I'm calling for half of you guys to resign from the board. The investigation is ongoing, but the officers, one was named Martin and the other one was named Jimenez. When you get told that you can't make a complaint because of your skin color, I guess you can, or you couldn't not imagine how that feels. But internal affairs need to get back on their job. Half of you guys need to resign until we get federal consent decree back. And the reason why I'm calling it back because it's been a lot of mishap and a lot of things that haven't been followed. Chief Beck started out good, but ended up bad. I mean, when you can't file a complaint because of your skin color, and if people tell you got to come downtown to file a complaint, and after listening to Chief Beck say, well, I'm going to follow or use the same guidelines as the federal consent decree when he came out of Virgosa's house, I'm truly one that believed in that. Like I said, I've been here since 2004. I've been here when Bratton and Paysinger and everybody was, and Chief McDonald was here. But the same guidelines are not being followed, and I want to know why. That as an African American, why I can't file a complaint because of my skin color. If anybody can answer that question, please get back to me.
Thank you.
Catherine Boyd.
Hi. I was there last week at the Hollenbeck. This is for Chief Beck. I still didn't get any help. And I need someone at the police station just to run a weapons check. about the weapon. It was put up over at the school, and nobody checked it. The detective didn't check anything. Remember you gave me the card?
Of course I remember, ma'am, and the detective looked into your issues when I gave you the card and looked into your issues last week. They'll do what they can do for you.
What do you say?
They'll do what they can do for you.
Well, can I get it checked downtown today?
No.
What? No. Why not? Nobody checked anything.
I doubt that.
What do you say? Oh, can I go to the police station and get it checked?
Ma'am, you're more than welcome to go to the police station.
Okay, just go.
They'll do for you what they can do within the constraints of the law. Unfortunately, what you want is outside the constraints of the law.
I can't hear. I can't hear. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have an additional 12 cards.
Okay.
We have Akili, followed by Shani Freeman and Melina Abdullah.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are here today because we have no answers yet for Waukesha Wilson. We have come here time and time again, made the same issues, made the same point. The family has come here, and our community is still in pain and suffering with the family of Waukesha Wilson. We asked for the videos, we asked for the logs, and we asked for the procedure, and nothing has happened. When will you have some answers for the family and for the community? And when will you say her name, Waukesha Wilson? When will you decide that this is as important to you as it is important to us? When will you say her name, Waukesha Wilson? Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. 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 Say her name.
Shani Freeman, followed by Melina Abdullah.
Good morning. This is just a quick question to piggyback off of what Mr. Keeley spoke of. If this is an ongoing investigation about Waukesha Wilson and we're here asking questions about the investigation, we want more information, why won't you say her name when discussing the case? It is that case. It involves a human being. I'd like an answer to why no one will actually identify her by her name. If I could have an answer to that, please.
Miss, general public comment is your opportunity to address the board with issues within their jurisdiction. It's not really a time to ask questions because there is no specific item on the agenda. It's just general comment. That's why they don't respond
if I'm
to you.
commenting about her and I'm asking for some kind of response, any kind of information about the case that you can garner,
Right.
well, why
that-
doesn't anyone ever actually say her name when responding?
Because they're not responding, because this item is just for general public comment. They're not allowed under the Brown Act to engage in the discussion that's not on the agenda.
Okay, even if you can't engage in the discussion, even if that were the case, just like she called me up and said my name, if I'm giving a public comment about Waukesha Wilson and I'm asking for anything, why not address her by name? We can't give you information about the Waukesha Wilson case. That's not in our purview. I'm saying, why is that name not said when telling people you can't talk about it? Why can't you say her name?
I believe the board has said her name in the past.
I've never been here, so I'd love to hear it.
My point is that's why they're not responding.
I'm just asking, when responding to a citizen who's asking, you're telling me you can't give me any information about the case. I would like for someone to call out the name of the case and who the person is. That's all I'm asking. Just like my name was called when I came up, someone should be able, even if you can't talk to me or tell me, you should say, ma'am, I'm sorry, we cannot speak about the Waukesha Wilson case. I would like that. I have never been to one of these meetings, but I would like someone to say that to me. And
I've talked about Ms. Wilson on a number of occasions. I gave a press conference earlier in the year. It was unfortunate. She committed suicide in our custody. There's an investigation ongoing, and when that investigation is completed, they will be released.
Say her name, please.
I'd appreciate it if the members
First
of the
and
audience
last.
would
Thank you.
allow the speakers to speak.
The next speaker, Melina Abdullah, followed by Jasmine Richard and Paula Miner. This is Jasmine Richards, so. Okay.
So we're here not just to lift up the name of Waukesha Wilson. We were thinking about the number of people that the police under Charlie Beck have murdered, and you have murdered them, Charlie Beck. We are very aware that the police chiefs in Oakland and San Francisco have been forced to resign. We want you to be next. We want you to have the courage to remove him. This is the most murderous police department in the entire nation, and you sit there and you oversee it. Saltzman, I'm appalled at you, because I thought you were supposed to be one of the most progressive ones. Last week when we were here, we witnessed our 81-year-old elder be wrestled to the ground for supposedly speaking off topic. How do you know he was off topic? He was only 10 seconds into his comment. You wrestled him to the ground, dragged him out, and had him arrested for speaking off topic. When I saw Saltzman in the hallway afterwards, all I said is, you can't be okay with that. And rather than think about what it means that an 81-year-old man who is no threat to anyone, what it means for him to have been wrestled to the ground and arrested, rather than really reflect on that, Saltzman said he was disrupting the meeting. You know what? If this is the kind of meeting you're carrying out, your bullshit needs to be disrupted. You need to be disrupted. Somebody needs to shake you up and get you back to your humanity. I hope you have some humanity. Somebody needs to tell you that when you kill a mother's daughter, we have the right to be outraged. We have the right to say her name. Say her name. We have the right to say the name of Keith Bursey, who you killed 2 weeks ago and tried to come up in here, Chief Beck, and say it was okay because he was a so-called gang member. It's not okay. It's not okay. You're a gang member. How about that? You lead the largest gang in LA. You lead the largest gang in LA. Does that mean that we have the right to abuse and brutalize and murder you? Does that give us that right? You don't have the right to come in our communities and abuse and brutalize and kill our people. Say their names. Waukesha Wilson.
Abdullah.
Say his name. Keith Bursey. Say her name. Say his name.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah. Your
Do the
time
right
has
thing.
expired.
Do the right thing.
Thank you.
The next speaker, please.
The next speaker, Jasmine Abdullah,
Thank you.
Paula Miner, and Michael Novick.
Man, coming in here gives me anxiety. Look at how all these officers are standing around, especially him right there. He looks like he really wants to hurt somebody. He's been staring me down since I got in here. Little dude right there with all the Army credentials. He needs a psychiatric evaluation. I'm looking at you, Charlie Beck, and I see you don't care. I'm looking at all you guys, and I see you really don't care, so I'm not going to appease to your humanity because you have none. I'm not going to ask you for empathy because you have none. just know this. You're going to say their names. You're going to say all of their names. Waukesha Wilson, Keith Bursey. Just because he was a gang member does not mean anything. His life matters. All black lives matter. And you can't bury this one, because now what you're doing is you're making the lumpen wake up. You know who the lumpen are, right? The lumpen are the undesirables, the ones you guys deem undesirable, the ones you guys throw away as no good, right? Which is you. Oh, you're yawning on me, huh? You can yawn all you want to, head of white supremacy, you Nazi. I don't care, but I'm just going to look at you in your face because you can't stand me, so I'm just standing here and look at you because you're evil. I'm staring evil in the face. I'm staring you down in the face, Beck. And I tell you that we are coming. We ready and we coming. Are you ready and are you coming? Because as I can see right now, you got all your gang with you, but we don't have any guns. We have the spirit with us, and y'all all are intimidated by that. Yeah. All of you guys are intimidated by our mouths. So imagine if we get 1,000 mouths in here. If we have people circle around here every Tuesday, young people that's ready to camp out, ready to come to your house and camp out, just don't got nothing else to do. So we're going to come to your house and sit out there and wait for your kids and say, hey, you want to come party with us? Because that part, we're going to find out and be in front of your house next, Beck. And I mean camp out. Have a nice camp out with the family. Right? Y'all have a nice camp out. Say her name.
Thank you.
Say her name.
Thank you.
Say her name. Say her name.
Your time has expired. Please call
Say
the next
her name.
speaker.
Thank you. The next speaker, please.
Say her name. Say her name, Beck. Say her name.
Please call the
next speaker, Paula Miner.
First of all, I would like to say that there was a community meeting last Tuesday night in Boyle Heights. I think one of the major results of that particular meeting, and I guess in a way we have to acknowledge that you had the meeting, was that it brought the brown and black communities closer together. We now understand and realize, and I think you realize, that the issues that we talk about, the issues of LAPD murdering unarmed and minimally threatening people, occurs citywide. You know, a lot of times when we come, you think we're talking about only a small group or only a percentage. You always put it in percentages. You say there are thousands of contacts, but only X percentage are killed. But that goes citywide, and it begins to tell our total community and this total board that it is a serious, serious problem. Your system is flawed. You know, we're attacking a system where there is no accountability. There is no transparency. And those of you sitting on this board, uphold that. That's the standard you uphold. You don't uphold these standards that are on the wall. You uphold secrecy, you uphold negativity, and you uphold boxing in communities of color and communities of low income and communities of homelessness. So again, we're going to continue to come here and say the things that need to be said, that you need to listen to, that you need to change. And I also want to raise the name of Waukesha Wilson. Say her name, Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. I also want to uphold the name of Keith Bursey. When we talk about de-escalation, this incident just occurred 2 weeks ago. Say his name. Keith Bursey. Say his name.
The next speaker, Michael Novick, followed by Kelly and Pete White.
I missed the meeting at Hollenbeck Middle School, but I'm told that they had about half of Hollenbeck Division out there to protect the board somehow from the community. And I see that Matt Johnson and Sobroff got so exhausted by coming out into the community they had to stay home today. Chief Beck, I think, should not just follow the path of the chief of San Francisco, who was ousted, and the chief of Oakland, who was ousted, but he should join his comrade-in-arms, former Sheriff Baca and former Undersheriff Tanaka, who are about to serve federal jail time for their crimes against the people. I think it's shameful that this board meets week in and week out and never deals with the issues facing it. And the other day I was on Facebook and I saw a posting of an article that was quoting Matt Johnson talking about how concerned he was about the increase in shootings and killings by the LAPD. And I said, what is this? And I looked at it more closely, and it was an article from about a month after he first took office. And he's obviously been, very quickly educated by the culture of the Los Angeles Police Department and the culture of this police commission, that you don't talk about those things anymore in public, and you don't acknowledge the crimes of this department against the people of this city. And I would suggest that for every coming meeting of this, when you take public comment, that everybody fills out a public comment card, puts in their name with Waukesha Wilson as their middle name, so at least you get the person who announces who's coming up to talk to you to say the name Waukesha Wilson. And I'll say it here. Say her name, Waukesha Wilson.
Waukesha Wilson.
Waukesha Wilson. Mr. Stefanik, why don't you say her name? Waukesha Wilson. You're not bound by the Brown Act that says you can't talk about it because you're not on the police commission. You're the executive director. Waukesha Wilson. Charlie Beck. You're not on the police commission. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. Alexander Bustamante, Inspector General. You're not bound by this supposed provision of the Brown Act. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson.
Thank you.
Kelly. Pete White. Anthony Radcliffe.
Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. It's interesting. We come here every Tuesday and we understand clearly that there are two plans for our communities. One rhetorical. That rhetorical plan says things like to protect and serve. Words like integrity. Words like transparency. Words like community policing. Words like de-escalation. But the actual plan is something very different. The feelings of death and blood and oppression and repression and surveillance in our communities. Scoffing, looking around, and led by civilians. Not led by the military arm, led by civilians. And led by a city attorney's office that is dead set on ensuring that our voices are silenced. But every time you think we're silenced, we just say her name. Say her name. You're dragging 81-year-old black men from the podium. 81-year-old black men who have engaged civically more than anyone sitting in this auditorium and drug him out like a dog. Say his name, Tud Hayes. Say his name. We stand together. You can do all the so-called community charades that you want. We will be there. We will show up. Because we understand the real plan, not the rhetorical one. And that's what we're fighting against. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name.
The next three speakers, Mary, Jamie Garcia, Hamid Khan.
Morning, my name is Mary Zeiser, and I'm here with the Waukesha Wilson Group. I had the pleasure of meeting Waukesha's mom this past weekend, and I was brought to tears with just the impact that your violence against our communities is having on mothers. And this Waukesha's mom is now taking care of Waukesha's child, and it's because there's blood on your hands. That's not the only case. You guys are the #1 most murderous police department in the entire United States. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And here we are, we're planning, mass nonviolent direct action to expose this total injustice that has been going on for far too long. And we won't rest. We're going to continue to escalate until every single one of you guys is out of here. Mark my words. Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
Thank you. The next speaker, Jamie Garcia.
So last Tuesday's meeting was completely disgusting, but we took it back Tuesday night, and you didn't adjourn the meeting on Tuesday. We kicked you out of Boyle Heights. We said, go home, you're not welcomed here, leave. So apparently our freedom of speech is obviously being threatened with attempt to shut us down, but we won't let that happen, and you can't make that happen. We don't come here just to talk at you. We are organizing against you. We are here to expose what is happening, what type of programs are being used, and predictive policing is another one that's on our target. The coalition is actively organizing the community to know exactly what type of program this is and how this program is targeting our communities. You use past crime data to develop hotspots in our community to send more police. We know what communities are over-policed, and we know what type of feedback loop that will be created. The same communities targeted, the same communities harassed by police. Communities everywhere, like people are saying, are rising up. They're pushing back. They will not be silenced. And we're letting you know here, time and time again, every Tuesday we will be here. It will not be business as usual. You will eventually bend. You will eventually hear us. And regardless if you do or you don't, we won't stop.
Thank you, Hamid Khan. Followed by Whit McClure, Mariela Saba, and D.A.
Hello, Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So the LAPD is supposed to receive an award from the Attorney General today, tomorrow. It's a super secret for social media and technology. So let's see how social media works with the LAPD. This is the LAPD's architecture of surveillance. They use social media. Did people know that in September 2012, LAPD, this commission, Civilian Oversight, passed a rule where the LAPD has new intelligence gathering guidelines where they can take on fictitious persona and fake identities to friend you on social media. That's the award they're getting for social media and technology, where they can plant informants in social justice organizations, in nonprofits, based on a tip. That's the award that they're getting. Did you know that the LAPD killed the most people last year in the nation of any police department, 21 in total, of any police department in the country? Did you know LAPD already leads the country this year in killing 9 people, the most anywhere in the country? Did you know that the LAPD shot 38 or 48 people, depending whose number you take, and 1/3 of them were mentally ill? That is the award that they're getting. Did you know that the LAPD, these officers surrounding us in 2 years under the consent decree, the same Department of Justice that put a consent decree that determined that they're incompetent, violent, and incapable of self-governance, they broke antennas on dash cameras on 92 patrol cars out of 300. This is the award that they're getting. And the list goes on and on and on. That LAPD, since September, has arrested 9 people in this commission, and we were struggling to find out. I even asked one of the reporters that if any of them was non-black. This is how they are treating the community. 9 people have been arrested, which probably all of them are African Americans. This is the award that they're getting. This is what is going on. Did you know that Salzman himself voted against the reappointment of Chief Beck when he was being reappointed 3 years ago? This is the award. This is the failed leadership.
Thank you.
But it's not just this civilian oversight. It's the mayor that we hold responsible.
Thank you.
It's the failed leadership of the city that we hold responsible. It is the city council that we
Thank you,
hold
Mr. Khan.
Thank you.
Shame on this commission. These 2 are law professors. Robert
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan.
Please call the next speaker.
Whit McClure. The next speaker, Whit McClure.
Good morning, Commission. I'm here because last week I was present at the community meeting in Hollenbeck. I just want to say how completely despicable it was to watch you all witness having 2 families come up and talk about how their sons, how their children have been murdered by you all, and to have you all just look there at your phones, not even acknowledging them, trying to cut them off because you all don't have the peace of mind or just the courtesy of having translators that will listen long enough. It was despicable. You all should be seriously ashamed of yourselves, and to have that follow up to earlier in the morning arresting an 81-year-old black man for talking and speaking up to you all. This is my first time talking to the commission. I just want to let you know this will not be my last. I will continue to show up along with my comrades, and we will continue to call out the bullshit of your murderous police commission and police department.
Good morning, everybody. I first and foremost want to acknowledge everybody who is present here. It takes a lot of our body, a lot of our energy, a lot of our courage to be in a room where there's a lot of police officers who are armed with guns, and this is LAPD, the department that has killed the most people in the nation. I want to acknowledge the courage that it takes to be in a place where they have the potential to murder us, and they murder us in the streets. Acknowledge that courage, and shame on you all for taking that violence, that war zone, into a middle school in Boyle Heights and calling it a community meeting. Shame on you, each of you. Chief Beck, my eyes are directly at your energy. Shame on you, T-Fang, shame on you, Saltzman, shame on you collectively. Kathleen Kim, the two who are in this setup were told not to be here today. Shame, sending shame on you, sober ass. Shame on you, Matt Johnson. May you feel that. May you receive it. Kathleen Kim, it would be a different meeting if you were on this side and we were meeting out there and you resigned. And I invite you to that resignation in your lifetime, sooner than later. Sandra Figueroa, who cannot make eye contact with me, shame on you. I really look forward to making that connection, because you and I, sister, we would get along if you were on the other side and you weren't selling out our people and throwing them under the bus or under the gun of LAPD. Brown brother, thank you for the eye contact. Shame on you, brother. Shame on you. Mujer on the corner over there calling the names, working for the system. I'm so sorry. I know it took a lot of work for our ancestors to get us in these positions. Shame on you from our ancestry. We love you. Shame on you all. Don't call it a community meeting. We don't have common unity. We don't have common unity.
The next speaker, D.A., followed by Paul, Jamil, and Sheila Hines.
Good afternoon. Good morning. I have a couple LA Times articles here about how the LAPD has developed some protocols for protecting citizens of minority groups such as the homeless, mentally ill. But when it comes to the black minority, this protocol doesn't really apply. The reason for that is that there's a large, powerful, white racist contingent in our society that believes that for whites to be safe, blacks and Latinos have to be antagonized. That's not true. It's dialogue that brings security in our society. This contingent in our society wants the police to have the ability to kill blacks and Latinos at will without having to answer for it. And so after the 2001 federal consent decree in which the LAPD had to answer for itself, structures had to be set up like the police commission to pretend that you were concerning yourselves with police brutality when you were not. The way that was gone about was through psychology. The overseer, Mr. Matt Johnson, believes that he is in control, but he knows that if he says anything that is not representative of the white racist contingent, he's out of there. The problem with this is that there's no moral authority. The problem with the LAPD and with Chief Beck is that you cannot shoot your way into moral authority. You cannot handcuff moral authority and put it into custody to control later on. You cannot put moral authority under surveillance. So there must be disruption, as Henry David Thoreau, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King taught us before.
Thank you.
So I say, fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck!
Thank you.
Let's call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker, Paul.
Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck!
Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck! Fire Chief Beck!
Fire Chief Beck! You make me sick, Charlie Beck. want last week you left before public comment, which is I think it was 2 weeks ago, which is your kind of typical style. I came up and talked about you as a mob boss and what that meant, right? That meant covering up crimes, right? That meant, I mean, you don't have to get into it. You know what acting in the interests of your corrupt officers over the interests of the community looks like. You've made an entire career of it, Chief Beck. But I really feel like mob boss isn't enough, because you are the agent of white supremacy that this department has always needed. I mean, let's be real, because this department isn't about, at any point about serving the community. It's been about what? Enforcing redlining, right? It's been about breaking up a rich black community on Central Avenue in the 1950s, right? You're carrying on that legacy of William Parker, that same William Parker that recruited from Klan rallies, right? You know about that, recruiting from Klan rallies, right? Going directly into places like Oklahoma, right? Right? You're not wearing a hood necessarily. Maybe you're not recruiting from Klan rallies, but I'm sure you're recruiting from Donald Trump rallies. I'm sure that's where you are at this point. So I guess when I want to say mob boss, and I know that doesn't quite do justice, the terror, the white terror that you were responsible for, I'm thinking the phrase is Grand Wizard. You are a killer. You are a killer. Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. I hope every single night.
Thank you.
Every single night, that's the last thought you have. Her name.
Thank you. The next speaker, Jamil. The next speaker, Jamil Langane, Sheila Hines, Lisa Hines, and Yvonne Michelle Autry.
I want to know why. Why did you guys kill her? My mom. I want to know why you guys killed her. And I also want to know, why aren't you guys releasing the videotapes?
Oh. This is my baby's son. And he's asking you the question.
Go ahead. I think about her every day. Every single day. And I pray to God every day. That's what I do. I just want to know why you guys killed her. That's the only thing I want to know. Why? Why? Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. 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 Waukesha Wilson.
Thank you. The next speaker, please. Sheila Hines.
Yes, that's my name, Sheila Hines. Waukesha Wilson was my niece. Every single day, I'm with my great nephew, Jamil. Waukesha's son asked me the question, why did they kill my mom? He told me he went on the internet and he just saw a lot of stuff about his mom being killed by LAPD. And I had to think long and hard what to say. But whatever I tell him, it's not enough for him, because he still asks the same thing. So I want to know why you guys are holding the videotape, and Mr. Beck, I'd like to know why. Can you clarify when you said a couple of weeks ago that there were no type of altercation with Waukesha and the guard or somebody? Can you clarify that?
That is what I said, and that is true.
Seriously?
Well, where's the tape?
It's true? You're a liar. You're a liar. If I can expose your lie right now, I would do that. Because you're a straight, flat out liar. Where would you get that from? All you guys can go to hell and kiss my ass. Every last one of you guys.
Thank you. The next speaker, Lisa Hines, followed by SEKOU and Gabriel.
Charlie Beck, you said there was no altercation. How do you know that?
Because he's seen the tape.
How do you know that? Can you answer that?
I'm not going to release the investigation piecemeal. Obviously, I am privy to it, and I'm telling you what happened. There was an altercation.
Officers lied 80% of the time in that facility.
There's no altercation.
Tell.
Well, can you answer this? They told me she was found hanging from the phone cord, from the phone booth in her cell. Then they said another officer released a statement that she was found in the middle of the floor. Which one was it? You can't release that either.
I'm not going to release the information piecemeal. The information will be released in its totality after the coroner's report is completed and after the investigation is done.
If it's so solid that you saying it's a fact that you're sure that she committed suicide, why is it taking so long? If you know that it's on the videotape, you have proof of that, you say it's a fact, what's taking so long to release it?
Where's the proof that it was suicide? What are you basing it on, Beck?
You can release a conclusion and not release the evidence.
I want to know this. When I've called and asked about my daughter, her location, why did they tell me she wasn't here, she wasn't there, she wasn't at this jail, she wasn't at that one? They kept giving me different numbers to call. And then when I did get in touch with somebody to talk to me, they said they were trying to find her. They had to locate her. They don't know where she is. But she's in the custody of the LAPD.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. The next speaker, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any property with her? Only
Ma'am, I'm sorry, you've already spoken. There are other people who have time to speak.
I just want to have
No, you've already spoken, ma'am.
a bracelet and one blouse. We got all her property.
Ma'am,
There was her mom's name, her telephone
Written
number.
over
Ma'am, if you
everything.
keep speaking, we're going to have to ask you to leave. I don't want to have to do that.
Why the fuck you guys didn't call? Why
Please call the.
Thank you. The next speaker, please.
Call her
Who is the next
information.
speaker?
The next
I'm calling.
opinion, you could have called. You could have called.
SEKOU.
Instead of having her waiting and looking and searching, and all the time she was dead. Her daughter was
Ma'am,
dead.
if you continue to speak, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'd like to call the next speaker, please.
I'm going to leave.
gonna
You
stand right
think?
here.
Do you
Don't touch
think
me.
I
I'm all right.
really want to be here? Look at your
somebody.
stupid ass
I'm
faces.
just guarding the family.
Do
Pay
you
attention.
really think
You
I
know,
want to
I'm on
look
my
at
pursuit
you?
now in the morning.
Is there another speaker?
The next speaker, SEKOU, SEKOU, followed by Gabriel.
Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. 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 Waukesha Wilson.
Thank you. We're ready for the next speaker, please.
It is interesting to observe that the panel seems to have so little touching bases with their own humanity. What if it had been your son or daughter that had been brutally murdered by your brothers in blue? How would you be feeling now? Can't you feel the pain? Can't you taste the bitterness that they are made to feel because of your indifference? Or your callous indifference to their humanity? But you would like people like us to come in humbly and respectfully and courteously and give you a certain amount of respect for your position of authority over our lives, but you're wreaking havoc over our lives. You're murdering us and destroying families and displacing people. And you show no sensitivity. You show no sense of your own humanity and the connection you have with us as human beings. Is there a connection? Is your only objective and goal as position of authority over our lives is to murder and destroy us because we are what? People of color? I am Sekou Kambui, formerly incarcerated political prisoner. And what did I come back to? The same thing I left behind 40-some years ago. People in the community concerned about the abuses and suffering.
Don't do that. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make this more than it has to be. I don't have to sit down, and you know that. You know that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know that.
If anyone stand up, everybody stand up.
Everybody stand up.
Not one person.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
Stop escalating, officer.
I don't want to sit down.
He always causes a problem.
This officer is escalating.
The members of the audience, please sit down, or we'll. The members of the audience, please sit down, or we'll have to adjourn the meeting.
I know you can hear my voice, Mr. Monte. Do not do this.
Members of the audience, please sit down, or we will have to adjourn the meeting.
Then adjourn the meeting, but don't do this.
Members of the audience, please sit down so that we can continue to hear your comments.
From being here, and don't try to keep us from speaking.
Escalate, officer.
This is a public meeting. And we are tired of coming down here being intimidated and suppressed by these police. This is a public meeting. We came here to share. We came here to tell you what's happening.
Can we have one more
Only one more
speaker?
speaker left. We call the speaker, please.
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Okay. Is Gabriel present? He's not present? Okay. Public comment period is now closed. We have no other cards. Then he can come in. Where's Gabriel?
Is Gabriel here to speak?
That is Gabriel.
Akili
Akili's
already
already
spoke,
spoken.
sir.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Okay, so close session.
Okay, closed session is now, public comment is now closed. We're now in closed session. We have 3 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins for 2A1 and the Red Chief Hunt for 2A1.
Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins.
Prentice Jenkins, City Life newsletter.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm sorry. Members of the audience, you need to sit down or leave. The rules of the Professor Abdullah, if you'd like to stay, you need to sit down. Members of the public who are here who'd like to stay need to sit down. If you won't sit down, we will either clear the room or adjourn the meeting. You don't have any choice about it.
Mr. Jenkins. We do have one more public comment card on public. You want Michelle?
I'm sorry. This is the last warning. Mr. Jenkins would like to speak. If you'll let him speak, we're going to let him speak. If not, we're going to adjourn. Okay, well, Mr. Jenkins can't speak, so we're going to adjourn into closed session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 6A1 and 2
Saltzman, are you going to let
in accordance with Government Code 54957.
Yeah, is he going to let people back in? Okay.
The meeting is adjourned.
Is it recording? No? Yes. It's recording? Okay.
The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item number 2A1 was discussed, and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. And in closed session, item number 2A2 was discussed, and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Commissioner, is there a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn. Second.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
My name is Eric.
My name is May.
We are in Chinatown.
You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Hi, I'm
I'm Gil Reyes.
And I'm Rasha Goel. Welcome to another edition of Latitude, the latest in business and trade news from the Port of Los Angeles.
In this edition, you will ride along on a heavy load ship as it delivers 2 massive cranes to the West Basin Container Terminal at dawn. Let's get started exploring this edition of Latitude.